Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter World. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the hammer. As with all of my weapon videos, this is intended to give you guys a couple of notions as to how this weapon works, show you guys a couple of interesting moves, and naturally provide you with a reason as to why you would want to use this weapon over any other weapon in the game. And when it comes to the hammer, that reason is pretty damn simple. It's all about blunt force trauma. Repeated blows to a monster's head will eventually knock it down, causing it to either fall over or become exhausted, therefore creating multiple opportunities for you to continue repeatedly bashing him in the face. Mace to face is the name of the game when you pick up the hammer. You will claim the title of Knockout King, knock monsters down, exhaust them, and then continue to smash their skulls into the dirt until they learn that you are the true alpha in the jungle. But before we get to that part, let's get to some of the basics, shall we? So this right here is your hammer. If you look to the top left-hand side, you will notice that there is no fancy weapon gauge, as well as there aren't any particularly fancy moves. You just have your basic overhead smash, your Big Bang attack, which is not like Vegeta's Big Bang attack, naturally, and your charged attack. Now, as the name implies, the charged attack can be charged up to 3 times. So that was your charge 1, this is your charge 2, and if you continue charging, this is your charge 3, which is a charged Big Bang. Now, before we continue any further with this particular video, I should mention a new mechanic that was introduced in Monster Hunter World, which is called the Power Charge. Now, in order to get Power Charge, all you really have to do is initiate a charge attack and then press circle. If you guys notice, your hammer is now glowing. What is the advantage of this? Well, essentially it prevents some flinching, only of minor attacks and, sometimes a little bit bigger attacks, which means you still take damage, but you will be able to proceed with your attack, assuming that you are attacking. This effect only takes place when you are in an attack animation. So if you're standing idle and you get hit, you still get hit, doesn't matter, whatever. And obviously bigger hits, you still get hit. It's just, it provides some minor hits. It provides you with some hyper armor, essentially. The other thing that it does is it just flat out increases your damage and stunning potential. Therefore, it should be a given that you will want to keep Power Charge up as often as possible. The effect only really ends if you sheath your weapon or if a monster manages to flinch you by hitting you or doing anything else that causes your character to flinch. You will lose the Power Charge, but naturally you can just go right back into a charge attack, hit circle again, and Bob's your uncle. You're good to go again. Now, you guys might be wondering, okay, but you can charge the hammer up to 3 times. Does this influence the level of power charge at all? No, it does not. Whenever you charge your hammer is up to you, but basically it doesn't matter if you do it like this or if you get 2 tiers of charging before you actually charge it. The effect is exactly the same. So keep those things in mind when you are preparing to do a power charge. Now, Power Charge also changes a couple of your moves. They become more aggressive beyond the fact that they actually deal more damage. So if you guys remember, the charged Big Bang attack was just a nice little downward swing. Well, if we now do our 3rd tier of charge, that is a much more meatier swing. But before we get to some of these charged attacks, let's go over some of the basic combos again. So we got the overhead smash combo. 1, 2, 3 hits. That's pretty nice. We got the Big Bang combo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the Big Bang Finisher. And you can see that that right there is going to deal tons and tons of damage. So you want to keep that in mind. That is usually the combo that you want to go for if a monster is downed. Now let's talk about the charged attacks. So the good advantage that you have when you are playing with the hammer versus playing with something like a great sword is that the great sword actually has to stay in place whenever it is charging, whereas the hammer, as you can see, I can move around. Moving around is also important because if you are moving when you release, you're going to have access to a different attack. This right here is the Spinning Bludgeon. Okay, so let's go over some of these attacks. How do you want to be dispatching monsters when it comes to the hammer? Well, personally, I've been experimenting with a lot of different attacks that you can do with the hammer, because your objective is going to be to land as many hits into a monster's head as possible. Now, one of the ways for you to get started to just get familiar with a weapon is you can just like run around with a tier 3 charge, and then whenever you see an opening to come up onto a monster's head, stop moving, let go R2, bam! That right there is a lot of KO damage. It is one of the fastest like combos, so to speak, that you can do. It's not really a combo, it's just a charged move that will deal 3 hits. But if you want to like just get in the fastest damage you can possibly get into a monster, as in just like you want to deal a fast attack and hit the monster once or twice and get out, because maybe the monster's about to do something that's about to get you, this is probably one of the easiest things to do. Just run around, tier 3 charged, stop moving when you get to the monster, let go, bang. However, once you start getting into grips as to how the hammer works, you're going to want something a little bit more advanced. So for instance, something that I've noticed is that there is a pretty sweet combo if you actually don't charge the hammer all the way. So this, I would call it like the medium combo, which is if you feel that you got some time and the monster's not really going to come after you, maybe it's exhausted from all the blunt force trauma you inflicted on it, or maybe it's downed, whatever. Let's say you have a bit of time and you think you got, okay, I got a medium amount of time, let's try to get some damage in. You want to charge your hammer just to level 1, which is just, you can just tap R2 to get that off, and then immediately go into triangle. And here's what you're going to do. And now just spam triangle, bam, 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 okay? That is a very quick combo that enables you to put in some very decent damage. I actually missed that first attack because I'm misjudging the distance here. It's going to require a bit of practice for you guys, and for me as well, apparently. But there you go. Boom, 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 boom. It's basically super easy combo to pull off. Like I said, you don't even charge the hammer. You just straight up into an R2, triangle, triangle, triangle. Now, an important thing to note is that this combo is going to deal significantly more damage if your weapon is not charged. So for instance, if I'm running around, R2. And notice how the animations don't even seem as violent. So again, you want to try and get your power charged as often as possible before you swing into stuff, okay? Keep that in mind. But yeah, this is like your medium combo. Pretty satisfying. So let's talk about the long combo. Let's say you just knocked a monster down. You're like, okay, I got a serious opening here. I really want to go for some punishing hits. You want to try and charge your hammer to level 2. Now, the cool thing about the level 2 charge is that it's also got a built-in gap closer. 1, 2. That's your level 2 charge. Also, the upswing uppercuts like this actually deal a bit more KO damage than necessarily the downward swings like this. Or at least so I'm led to believe. But anyway, if you go for that uppercut swing, you can then chain it into the Big Bang combo, which will deal tremendous damage. But it is a little bit trickier to land because of that forward momentum on the second charge. So let's go for that. Second charge, boom, now go into circle, bam, bam, bam. If you manage to land every single one of these hits into a monster, good God, that is tons and tons of damage. Just remember that you want to keep that forward momentum in mind whenever you are getting ready to do this combo so that you don't end up really missing your target. Now, another important thing about the Big Bang combo is, as you guys notice, this combo has a lot of hits, and therefore you might start the combo, let's say you're in a bit of a chaotic situation, and the monster's head is the pull, and you actually start the combo here, which is a little bit off to the side, which means that eventually during the combo you might actually miss out. And whenever you miss out with the Big Bang combo, there is a huge window of you being just like not doing anything, because you cannot continue to do the Big Bang. So, in order to avoid missing after you've begun the Big Bang and actually hit the first hit in a monster, like right there, which is you're kind of missing the mark. I mean, you're hitting the head still because this thing has a bit of an area of effect, but ultimately, eventually, you're going to be missing out on the rest of the combo. You can actually course correct the combo while you are performing it. So, even if I start here, I can slowly start inching the left analog stick left, And you'll notice that by the end of it, I'm hitting it exactly on the mark. So you can basically change the direction of the combo after you start it by keeping the left analog stick moving in the desired direction. So just in case you happen to have that particular difficulty during a combo, there you go. So these, in my opinion, are your bread and butter. Always remember that if you do not have power charge, some of these combos are going to be somewhat different, but they still work. So like for instance, for whatever reason you're like, dude, I can't do power charge, I need to get into this monster's face right now, I need to hit one big heavy blow. Okay, you can charge up 3 times, do the charged Big Bang if you want to, or if you want to do one of the other simpler combos, not simpler, one of the other more complex combos actually, you can go up to the monster, like I said, R2 into triangle, and it will still do the combo. It's not going to be as vicious or deal as much damage, and you can also do the longer combo, 1, 2, blammo into Big Bang. Remember to course correct, make sure that you're hitting it. Still works, just doesn't deal as much damage. So this might require a bit of practice if you're not used to doing the power charge thing, but it will become second nature in time for you to just, every time you draw your hammer, at least it happens to me, whenever I draw my hammer, I just instantly go draw into charge, power charge. Sometimes I'll do the charged blow, other times I'll try to roll out of it, so it's whatever. But I usually do that before every hit, so even if the monster's like right in front of me, I'll just go, okay, I'm running in, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then boom, boom. And it actually goes really well into your medium combo that I mentioned earlier. If you just draw into a charge, power charge, hit, triangle, 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 triangle. Anyway, you guys will be like, Rurikhan, why do you keep hammering these combos into us? Pun intended. But the main reason is because this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be constantly focusing on the monster's head. There's not really a whole lot that I can do in the training rounds to show you how to achieve perfection with the hammer, because it's not really about a fancy move set. It's not really about performing fancy combos. It's about figuring out the best moves that you can possibly do to hit a monster in the head. And now I know that I've really talked about hitting him in the head because that is like the hammer's main thing, but the hammer is also very good at breaking anything in the monster. So you can actually, even though you can't chop a tail, you can still use the hammer to smack a tail to the point where it's all busted up, and then sometimes you can just throw a boomerang at it and you'll be able to chop it up. You know, there are other ways of chopping tails without using weapons, or you can just kind of like tenderize the tail to the point where another user will just go in there, hit one attack of slashing damage, tail comes off. Same thing for the monster's back, monster's wings. You can really destroy monsters with the hammer, so keep this in mind. Now, let's talk about aerial hammer, which in my opinion, hammer actually has a really good aerial game. So first we're going to start with one of the coolest moves that a lot of you guys have probably seen for the hammer, which is the Midair Spinning Bludgeon. So this is done by essentially sliding down a hill and performing a charged attack. The more you charge it, the more effective the attack is going to be. So if you get a level 1 charge on your hammer, it's going to be a little bit slower. If you get a level 3 charge, it is going to be much more efficient. Like, notice how fast that was spinning, and now let's compare that with a tier 1 charge. You will notice that it is a lot slower, and if you do the tier 2 charge, it'll be, you know, in between those two charges that we just did. So the spinning bludgeon should always be your go-to move whenever you are doing this. As a matter of fact, you should just charge up to level 3 before you start sliding down, because that way you can just have the tier 3 charge already up. Boom. Now, this particular move can combo into your triangle combo if you manage to, like, I don't know, stagger the monster, do something that gives you an opening to proceed. So you can just straight up go from there into your triangle combo of overhead smash and into the upswing, or if you so choose to, you can just go ahead and charge into any of the other combos, because you're also able to seamlessly integrate that into the move. Like right there, he's done, he charges up, and now you can go into the regular triangle combo, or you can go into the more complex Bigbang Finisher, even though I don't really have a whole lot of targets here to exemplify with the Big Bang. So you can charge up, and then just... You should actually charge up to level 2 for the Bigbang Finisher, actually. Sorry about that, I messed that up. The fault is entirely mine, so let's do that. And now you go ahead, you charge. 1, 2... And we broke the barrel, but as you guys could see, you could then just like chain effortlessly into the Big Bang. Now, another really cool thing about the hammer is that if you happen to be charging your weapon when you jump off of a ledge, your character will automatically jump off, and you can basically perform a charged jumping attack. You can also charge the attack while you are falling down, but naturally, you won't be able to charge it nearly as much. But you probably noticed something there. That move was actually really cool because it actually allows you to gain a little bit more distance in the attack. More so than other weapons, the hammer gives you a little bit of a boost when you're trying to do a jumping attack. If you guys notice, it's almost like you do a second jump while you are in the middle of the air. This effect is also felt on other weapons, although in my opinion it is felt to a much lesser extent, making the hammer a really good weapon at getting distance if you happen not to have the glider mantle on you. Notice that you can get like quite a bit of distance, so the hammer is actually a really good weapon for mounting. It is not as efficient if you're already charging your weapon to tier 3, because it gives you that initial boost instantly, but it will naturally deal more damage when you are falling down. So in my opinion, the hammer also makes for an excellent mounting weapon, and there is one more move that I wanted to show you because there is another way of doing the spinning bludgeon. Now this particular move is available to most weapons, and to be completely honest, I haven't been covering it, which is a bit of a fault on my side. I haven't really been covering this move in other weapons, but you guys know that in some locations in the world you're going to have mushrooms like these, and you will be able to do something like this. Run up the wall and do jumping, and then you can do a jumping attack. Which with the hammer is pretty cool because due to the fact that, like I told you, you get that boost which is almost like a second jump, you can get a lot of distance, right? But you can also do the spinning mid-air bludgeon off of this. And the way to do that is basically charge your hammer as much as you want. Can be level 1, level 2, but naturally level 3 will be better. And if you run up against the wall with a fully charged hammer, you're going to do the mid-air spinning bludgeon, which is also pretty damn cool. Just remember, you can only do this particular move if you find these specific locations out in the world out there. But it is friggin' fantastic. Now, the jumping attacks that I've shown you so far, I've been using the charged attack every single time, which in my opinion is the better thing that you can do when you're doing a jumping attack. However, you can also do a triangle jumping attack by just running off the ledge, pressing triangle just like with any other weapon. The only advantage that I see to this particular attack is that it gives you faster access to the upswing, because you can just do one downward into upswing, whereas if you do the charged attack, it takes you a little bit longer to get there. You got the charged follow-up, then the overhead smash, then number 2, and then the upswing. So that's the only advantage. So in my opinion, I would most of the times just go straight for the charge attack, particularly because it also gives you like that double jump almost like ability. So that would be the way that I go about doing my jumping attacks, but I just want to let you know that there is another option available for you if you so desire. Just a little note here on the subject of mounting. Whenever you mount with other weapons, usually you tend to press triangle a bunch of times until eventually you can get to the point where you perform the mounting finisher, where you just press that triangle one more time and your weapon performs a finishing move on the monster. In the case of the hammer, the finishing attack is going to be a charged attack. So be careful not to just spam triangle. When it comes time to the finisher, hold triangle down until you get a level 3 charge and then release, and you will get maximum damage on the mounting finisher. Now, before I finish this video, I should mention the spinning bludgeon attack, particularly because a lot of you guys are most likely doing spinning bludgeon by mistake, because it tends to happen if you're new and you're trying out the hammer for the first time. Now, the spinning bludgeon, which I've shown you at some point in this video, is this attack that when you are charging at level 3 and then you happen to move and release while moving, your character is going to start spinning around with the hammer. So, first things first, if you are trying to do this. And you end up doing this. What that means is that you are moving instead of stopping to move, instead of stop moving and releasing R2. Because in order to get that tier 3 attack that I've shown you, you have to stop moving. So like for instance, you want to get that onto the post right here. Stop moving, R2. Okay? If instead you are moving, you're going to get the Spinning Bludgeon. So let's talk about the Spinning Bludgeon. The main use of the Spinning Bludgeon, in my opinion, is if you have a monster that is moving too much and you are having trouble landing your combos on him, because if you guys notice, most of the combos that I've shown you are actually stationary. So your character is going to stay in place and he's going to smack the monster. You can do minor adjustments, but most of the time your character is just going to stay in place and smack him repeatedly. So if a monster is moving too much, you might be having problems landing these hits. At which point you might want to resort to the Spinning Bludgeon. However, keep in mind, while you can do this, the Spinning Bludgeon is not nearly as effective as any of the other attacks. So this is good for like a chaotic situation. Maybe you just need a couple of more hits and you think you can get the monster to flinch. Or maybe there's like 2 monsters in the middle of the area and everything's a complete chaos mess and you're just like, dude, whatever. I'm just going to spin to win in there. Sure, you can go ahead and do that. Just remember, every single other move that I've shown you before this one is better than this one, which is why I saved this one for last, to let you guys know that, like, look, this is like one of those things you only really use if you have to, because everything else that I've shown you is better. Okay? Now, if you happen to chain the Spinning Bludgeon by mistake, you can cancel out of it by pressing triangle instantly afterwards, which will go into the spinning side smash and into your triangle combo. If however you want to cancel in between, you can get a different animation, which will also go into your triangle combo. Like 1, 2, you get the spinning follow-up into the triangle combo. So like, say for instance, you're doing the Spinning Bludgeon, you happen to hit the monster in the head, and suddenly like, oh snap, he went down, sweet, boom, you combo right into your triangle, and you know what to do, okay? Or if you want to do the Spinning Bludgeon all the way, you never really want to let it run all the way, because this last attack right here, the spinning swing, your character has a long recovery time. Now, you can roll out of it if you want to, which will be a little bit faster than waiting all the time for the animation, just a couple of frames faster, which is not that much. But ideally what you want to do is when you're coming up close to the end of the cycle, you want to press triangle to exit out of it with a sweet golf swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and boom! See, that is a much more efficient attack that will deal way more damage, and also it will have less recovery time. And that is the Spinning Bludgeon, and with that, it's pretty much almost every move that you can do with the hammer. Like I said, you want to focus on the head, but not exclusively, because sure, KO damage is great, focus on the head as much as you want, but at some point, it's like maybe you're trying to get different parts of the monster. Maybe you'll need to break his legs, break his claws, break his back, so focus a little bit of damage on those areas as well if you are looking for specific materials, because breaking the head with the hammer should be fairly simple, but it shouldn't be the only thing you do. Okay, I know that I've emphasized the head a lot at the start because it is like the way to play with the hammer. Go for the head until you can get stuns and stuff like that. But ultimately, once you get into farming stuff, you will need to break other parts of the monster as well. So keep that in mind and use these combos accordingly. Hopefully this helped you understand the hammer a little bit better. Let me know what you guys think about the hammer in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.